Welcome to the fourth edition of ET Now Global Capability Summit 2024. We're going to start off with a keynote address on navigating GCC policy labyrinths, riding the regulatory roller coaster.
India is not what you see in Bangalore or in Hyderabad or in Chennai or in Delhi. The new India is coming up from the emerging tech clusters, not cities. And those are Mysore, Mangaluru, and Hubli, Belgaum, Dharwad in state of Karnataka, and like any other part of the world as well. Somewhere around 8 GCCs are operating in Mangalore, and some of them are 1,000 people plus. There are at least 6 and 7 GCCs in Mysore which are operating in this field. There's a world-class infrastructure. The talent supply from those clusters for you as a top talent is somewhere around 17,000 plus annually. Please look at how you will define this in terms of the global leaderships that can be made available by Indian GCC heads to playing a global role in the parent organizations, and how we do that more. Look at the startup innovation ecosystem, collaborate with us in a much more GCC angle perspective, which has been not seen so far aggressively. I think the time has come. Thank you so much.
Moving on to our next session, the GCC landscape and growth in India.
Gone are those old days of taking people to where the work is. Now you've got to take work, bundle it up, and take it to where people are. And India's got that talent. India's got that education system. India's got that STEM learning. India's got the ecosystem of service providers, of startups, and also favorable economic policies. And what India also has, which is a big advantage, is the fact that India's democratic values are allied with the parent companies' organizations. So we are allied with the US, we are allied with the Europeans, we are allied with the Germans, and we are allied with the Japanese. And ally shoring is becoming an important concept now when companies are looking at offshoring business processes and all that. So I think these are all the drivers of GCCs. Thank you all very, very much.
Moving on to our next session, it's going to be a very, very interesting panel discussion, giving us the CEO's perspective on GCCs fueling India's economic renaissance, unleashing growth, innovation, and opportunity.
What are your thoughts in terms of how innovation and talent trends are going to affect GCCs?
In India particularly, I think the availability of talent is in terms of the talent pool in itself, of course, is large. Talent, of course, is the gravity for India. But today, I can tell you that many GCC leaders that I meet, and also their leadership teams in their headquarters, when we meet them or host them in our offices, they are looking at India as an innovation hub.
How you have generated competitive advantage and what lessons to learn from that?
India GCC is the only one which we have across all the outside the US headquarters, the only place we have so many functions, so many capabilities being worked off India. So I think that's where I would summarize how the whole competitive edge has come. One strategy we worked since the beginning was to stay with the business. So when we were building all the 4 centers across the globe, we ensured that we are not going away in a new entity. That really helped us to gain the business knowledge.
CAT Digital is one of the most respected entities within the Caterpillar environment. What have been your lessons from that?
The equation is different, right? The equation started with cost arbitrage. Then we added to that niche talent. Then we added business domain knowledge. Then we added functional skills, new ways of working, capability building, etc. This became the recipe to create the capabilities across 360 degrees in terms of product development, digital product development.
Some of the things that I believe the GCCs are doing right when they're going up that journey, I think they're hiring the right quality and level of talent from outside, which is actually helping them drive these new innovations, new technological advancements, and also bring in new ways of working. I would say working with the ecosystem, because at the end of the day, within an organization, you will have a limited set of capabilities. But when you work with the ecosystem, you can leverage what exists outside, and that includes your partners, that includes startups, etc. Building strong leadership within the GCC, and that's across levels people who are able to identify what kind of opportunities, are able to drive them, and also very importantly communicate them to the right set of stakeholders, which helps them, build and drive more and more innovation and transformation in and from the GCC.
Moving on to our second panel discussion for the morning, our panelists shall be discussing empowering developers, elevating experiences, crafting the future of GCC ecosystems in experiential office spaces.
One line on what the future holds for all this ecosystem in line with GCC.
With economic growth in India, this is a 10 to 15-year runway, which we absolutely would love to leverage, both as a mega city developer with developers and service providers.
From positive, I would say the talent and the growth that India is having, that really provides an ecosystem for us to be able to continue to have this runway upward. There will continue to be disruption, whether it's AI today. I think it's going to keep happening and keep evolving. To some extent, alienate those by having steps taken will actually make businesses more sustainable for the future.
I think constantly we need to upskill ourselves because the world is a rapidly changing place. And I think on the downside, again, being left out is a very important thing that we need to watch out for.
When we think about, hey, will buildings last next 40 years, we're building for the next 40 years. While, of course, the India growth story is great, for me, the only scare is what is the global macroeconomic trends, which could, of course, impact India. So more macroeconomic issues, no, nothing.
Fantastic. Thank all of you for a great session. Thank you.
So Tablespace, as a workspace solution provider in enterprise, is the leader today in India, providing not just GCCs, but overall workspace solutions, right from lease, custom built, design, and thereon operating the workspace for our clients. We've been fortunate to have not just the best Fortune 500 companies work with us, provide us solutions to how they want their office to be, and then for us to be able to provide them with the perfect workplace that we construct for them, build it out, fit it out, and then operate it. Today, our scale across the length and breadth of the country has more than 350 centers, of which I think more than 70 centers are pure GCCs that we operate.
AeroCity is GMR's brand for global business districts, provide cutting-edge infrastructure, transportation, technology, and built environment. Airports provide robust connectivity, high-quality infrastructure, and a built environment that is scalable yet flexible. Exactly what is required for today's growing global capability center landscape in India. India has been leading in the fields of technology globally. It has tremendous talent with our young population. It provides talent, it provides infrastructure, and all the capabilities that are required for growth in the global capability centers. So obviously, India is very well positioned to support the growth in the GCCs across the world. So ETH Summit was a great place for us to engage with the GCC community, and at the same time share perspectives of property development, of infrastructure development, and interfaces with technology, and providing fantastic workspaces for GCCs to grow in India.
We're going to dive into our first session on achieving net zero, a commitment to our planet.
This talks about focus on sustainability, and more importantly, how real estate related construction impact or contribute to the carbon footprint overall amongst all of the other industries. A clear 38% there. The unfortunate impact is almost as much as 60% plus of real estate related industries contribute to the carbon footprint in India. Why is that important? 40% plus of the Fortune 500 companies, 20% of the larger grade A occupiers in India have now committed to net zero by 2050 or earlier. Global occupiers have net zero goals by as early as 2030. And the development or the developer community, frankly, will need till about 2040, if not later. So there is a substantial gap there that needs to be bridged. Thank you very much.
I think GCCs have an extremely important role
over the evolution of real estate and growth of the sector overall in India. It used to be IT, but the growth that we've seen of GCCs over the last 3 to 5 years has been phenomenal, to say the least. 30% growing up to 40% over the last 3 years. The other important thing is GCCs, which are no longer back offices but capability centers, have a flight to quality or look up to a flight to quality. So their demand absorption of grade A sustainable offices will play a significant role in absorption of grade A sustainable office spaces in India. We've heard about this earlier, we've spoken about this earlier, but there are 3 primary factors that or perhaps these factors that have evolved over the last 2 to 3 years, primarily I'd say post-COVID. There always used to be employable tech qualified talent. That is one of the biggest determinants. The second, frankly, is the China +1 policy. You've always had services, but now you've got manufacturing as well. And it makes a lot of business economic sense for you to have services and manufacturing both in the location that you can. These are the 2 primarily growth drivers. Last but not the least, if I can add, is availability of, I'd say, world-class, relatively cheaper real estate in India.
Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is going to discuss on unlocking the true potential of GCCs with AI-led enterprise automation.
5 years ago, deep learning was the way to do AI. Okay, if I have to build a model, I needed lots of labeled data, and I had to put people, like 50 to 100 people, to cleanse that data. And then I had to hire a room full of PhDs to actually build a model. And once I built the model, any changes underneath that, I had to restart the entire work. Now we are at a point where with large language models, if I can take data and not label that, the first cost goes away. Second, with brute force training, if I am able to do 1,000 or 10,000 variations within a weekend of work with one person on a laptop, suddenly the business advantage becomes obvious to people. I think that's fundamentally why leaders are looking at AI. So welcome to the age of AI. AI is the mainstream now, and all parts of our business, irrespective of whichever area you belong to, whether you're a finance practitioner, risk practitioner, tax practitioner, a CBO practitioner, or even finance advisory practitioner, all of us have a role to play in this revolution. Thank you very much.
Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is going to discuss on GIFT City, a smart destination for GCCs.
The total area of the GIFT City is around 886 acres, out of which 226 acres is on the SEZ, which is the IFSC controlled area, and the remaining 600 acres is the domestic tariff area. So that's what makes GIFT City. The automated waste collection system basically sucks out all the waste underground. So you will not see any waste collection trucks roaming around in the city. The underground utility tunnel, the cool thing about this is that this will ensure that the city is never dug up again. All the utilities are provided through this underground tunnel, and the space in between the tunnel is as wide for a car to move in to do the maintenance of all these services, right from fiber optics to the water treatment to fire, data center cables are all running through this underground utility tunnel. And the last one is water treatment plant. All of the water is recycled. GIFT City has potable water directly from taps, so you don't need to put your own filters and ROs and so on and so forth. So I think the infrastructure that has been built in GIFT City has kept all the future requirements in mind. Thank you for listening. India is definitely a very attractive location for GCCs, given the ample availability of talent, world-class infrastructure, and friendly regulatory policies. An example of such a location is GIFT City, which provides all the infrastructure of a smart city, of a green and sustainable city, and has a single regulatory window of approvals, which makes it very easy for new businesses to come and set up and grow their business operations. We have very established locations like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and so on and so forth. But the newer places that are being built keeping the requirements of GCCs in mind. Things like data analytics, things like artificial intelligence, Gen AI, large language models. When that kind of work is done by GCCs in India, they become equal partners to their global businesses. And it is not just providing support to global businesses, but partnering with them to create new propositions and new products that emerge out of GCCs that will serve the global markets and their global counterparts.
So our next speaker is going to be giving us an insight into the Gen Z talent revolution and strategies for leading the charge.
These are the number of companies that go and hire from campuses across engineering, MBA, arts, commerce, or so. And whenever you as business need talent, you always look out for a specific set of campuses or cities, right? But the biggest problem today is how do we connect these 5,000 companies to this 10 million students who graduate every year and possibly beyond that. Everybody cannot match the aspirations of the top tier talent. We need to go out there and find the right talent through which we'll be able to map those aspirations correctly. And that's where Gen Zs also come into the picture, because this is that wide age area. In next 5 years, this will form 50% of the workforce irrespective. You can't ignore Gen Zs. Attracting and retaining Gen Zs will be the biggest challenge moving forward, and it will require a different playbook. Thank you so much.
We have a very special address from our guest of honor. Welcome to the stage, Sri Darshan HV, IAS, Managing Director, Karnataka Innovation and Technology Society, Director, Department of ITBT, Government of Karnataka.
GCCs in India is close to US $46 billion and is expected to grow up to $100 billion by 2030. As all of you know, India is one of the preferred destinations for GCCs throughout the world. So now the numbers are going to increase. The number of capital investment through FDI is going to increase. The professionals or the technical expertise that are needed in this particular one is going to have a lot of demand. And now a state or a city that caters to all of this, coupled with innovation, is going to attract such GCCs. So our goal, of course, from 460 plus in the next 5 years, we are planning to increase it to close to 900 to 950. And to facilitate this, we are coming up with a separate GCC policy, Global Capability Center policy from Government of Karnataka. Again, one of a kind that any particular state has taken an initiative in. So now, in the next 1 month, we are going to come up with the draft policy of this. And through this particular event, I request all of you who has been a part of the GCC family in India to please have a look at it and spare some time in looking at it and provide a valuable suggestion that will actually encompasses the perfect policy that can coupled with the innovation as it is there, so that Karnataka as a state and India as a country can grow overall as a preferred GCC destination in the world. Thank you very much once again.
Moving on, up next is another fireside chat on surfing the GCC wave, turning real estate into vibrant work environments.
How an innovative, vibrant office space is going to attract talent. I mean, making sure that talent is associated with workspace.
People don't want to come to office, but you have to attract people to office. So one of the ways is, one is designing part of it. The other is play with people's, mindset and have events within the offices. When you post pictures on different,
social media,
and when you don't see yourself but your team is over there, you feel, hey, I am not there, I need to be there.
How would you make sure that your office space or the building that you're constructing is the number one choice?
The way we look at our developments is to keep that employee at the focus, at the core focus of our design, and see every touch point, every experience that employee goes through in our campus building. How can we elevate that? How can we ensure that it is of the highest standard and quality?
So we put out our sustainability goals a couple of months back. There are lots of small steps that we need to take to make that happen. For example, we have single-use plastic that's not been used for the last 5 years, right? We also use a lot of analytics on data in terms of where people sit, which meeting rooms they use. We call what our main management floor, what is that used for? That gives us enough data to plan our next buildings.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Very much.
So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, up next we have a special guest who's going to be taking the stage, and he's going to talk to us about the AI revolution and India's path to becoming a tech powerhouse.
innovation is going to be the only capability going forward. It's not any skill. AI is going to take over lots of things which are thought to be capabilities as of now. Currently, I work in a remote Naxal area called Chintapalli. My constable and my SIs are generating crime memos, what to do when a crime incident happens using generative AI. And they are getting answers for the doubts that they have with the new criminal laws. So think about capability again. If they are not based on innovation, if we are not bringing any value or the common sense to the table or our own unique character to the table, they might perish. It is a both boon and bane. It's how we are going to orchestrate and ride the wave. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Up next, we're going to hear more about the selection process by our research partner for the impactful GCCs of India.
The primary thing that everyone should be looking around is 652 interviews, detailed interviews were conducted across different entities in the GCC ecosystem in India, where around 576 were with the veterans or participants of this entire exercise that we did, and 76 with the association and consortium of associations. And the resultant finding, as I said, was narrowed down to come up with few parameters which helped us to narrow down which are the key GCC that we should be nominated. And among those 1,000, we narrowed down to 500. By filtering those 500, we came down to final narrow 200 entities. And then those 200 entities were submitted as a part of exercise from our end to the ET group. And I think among them are the one who are going to be rewarded as a part of this CTBs. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to felicitate the impactful GCCs of India 2024. Let's put our hands together and make some noise for the first brand that we'd like to call onto the stage, 7-Eleven Global Solutions Center. Let's give them a warm welcome.
India is home to an exceptionally gifted and talented pool of software professionals who can design, build, and deliver innovative tech solutions. But India is also a hub for phenomenal talent in the areas of business operations, data analytics, and cybersecurity. These professionals have the minds, heart, and the passion to not only deliver process efficiencies, but deliver meaningful innovations for their company. India is truly the most comprehensive talent destination for GCCs in today's world.
I'd like to call on Swiss Re GPS India. Let's put our hands together and welcome them to the stage.
GCCs have been on a continuous growth and evolution journey for the last decade. We have used different terms to describe such setups like shared services, captives, GICs, and GCCs. Now it is time to end the unique identity of GCCs. By shifting our perspectives and acknowledging these setups as strategic global locations within their respective groups, we can break glass ceilings, seamlessly integrate, and align on priorities. The journey ahead will focus on driving business outcomes, building future-ready global capabilities, and fostering innovation across the value chain to drive enhanced value for clients.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we've come to the close of the 4th edition of ET Now Global Capability Center Summit 2024, themed Innovate, Collaborate, Excel, Building Tomorrow's Solutions Today. Thank you so much for joining us today.